Technology. Okay, looks like we are live. I see the little live symbol on there. So I'm going to go ahead and start talking. And I want to welcome everybody to Eufaula Arts Talk here on Tuesday. We meet here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock and talk to different, amazing, exciting artists available around Eufaula. And today I have a real special guest for you. I am hoping that we are to that point that is picking up on Facebook. Because of the delay, sometimes we have a little bit of a delay, and I don't want to have anything cut off, but I want to welcome, I'm excited about this because I have met this lady before and looked and talked to her about some different projects that she has been involved with around Eufaula, but she comes down, I know, to some of the activities that we have here, and she has set up booths here before. So I want to introduce you to a special lady, an award-winning author. We are so happy to have you with us today, Jonita Mullins.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
I am so excited. I haven't seen you in quite a while. I've seen you at some of the Heritage Days. You usually have a table there with a lot of your work, and we've chatted before in the past, and we'll talk about some of that stuff. You're an award-winning author, a speaker, a historian, and a preservationist. I want to start right there. What does that mean?
For me, it means trying to hang on to history, preserve the places and the people, the information that informs us about our past and hopefully teaches us some lessons so that we can have a better future.
Awesome. That's great. Well, and for Eufaula, I know that I'm going to say this quote because this kind of sums it all up to me. It said, and I'm quoting you, "I try to celebrate my home state's rich diversity, natural beauty, colorful Western history, Southern hospitality, and down-to-earth family values." So that's kind of your motto, I guess. And do you instill that in all your books?
I try to. To me, Oklahoma has some of the most interesting, fascinating history of any of the states. It's very rich, and to be able to try to preserve that and pass it along to my readers, it's something that I'm very passionate about. And it, of course, I think a lot of that comes from growing up in Oklahoma and having been here all my life, loving the state, loving its people, and loving its history, and being well rooted in the values that we have here in Oklahoma and that my parents reiterated and raised me in. So I try to bring
history of any of the states. It's very rich. My readers, it's something that I'm very passionate about. And it, of course, I think a lot of that comes from growing up in Oklahoma.
Okay, I think we're getting some feedback from
loving the state, loving its people, and loving its history, and being well.
Yeah, we're getting some feedback. So
that we have here in Oklahoma, and that my parents reiterated and raised me in. So I try to get history of any of the states. It's very rich. My readers, it's something that I'm very passionate about.
We're just gonna have to let this play out.
And it, of course, I think a lot of that comes from growing up in Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Glenna, if you're listening, we're getting feedback from your phone, and it's repeating everything. So that's with the delay. So you'll have to either mute your phone. I think you have your speaker on. So it's hard to communicate with her since we're on Zoom. I don't know if she is hearing what I'm saying or not. And on Facebook, it's, we're getting there's that little delay. So anyway, do live, especially when you do Zoom, we have no idea what's going to happen. But we try to fix it afterwards. So if you're watching live, you get to watch all our little happy mistakes. I'm going to call it happy mistakes because they're funny. So you have a new book out, right?
Well, actually, I had a new book come out last fall. Not a lot of people have had a chance to see it because I haven't been able to get out really and sell it as I normally would have. I haven't got to do a lot of author events or anything. So it's still very new because it's still getting into the hands of the people. But it's my second novel in my trilogy called The Neosho District. And the name of it is The Cross Timbers.
Okay. Now, what's the Look into the Fields? What is that? That's
Look into the Fields was the second book in my first novel series, The Missions of Indian Territory.
Oh, okay.
So that's an older book that, I had that one out, it was about 4 years ago. So I've already started a second series.
Wow.
Yeah, the second series is called The Neosho District. The first book was The Marital Scandal. And the second book is called The Cross Timbers, and it deals with a lot of the Creek immigration to Indian Territory from Georgia, and then the beginning of their movement from Alabama. So they settled in an area called the Cross Timbers, and that's where I get the title for the book.
I see. All right. Well, now that's interesting because we have so many creeks in this area for Eufaula, so I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in reading that. And what was the title of that again?
The Cross Timbers.
Cross Timbers. I'm writing that down because I want to read that. So where do you get all your, not information, but your, what makes you want to write? I'm losing that word.
My inspiration, perhaps?
Yes, inspiration for your stories.
Well, I'll tell you what gives me a lot of inspiration or impetus or something, and that is the fact that I write a weekly column for the Muskogee Phoenix newspaper. So I have to come up with a new topic to write about every week on history because it is a column focused on local history. So I'm constantly researching for that column. I've been doing it for 18 years now. I've written over 700 articles. And all of that research, of course, just leads me to books. I always wanted to write novels. So from the time I was reading novels in junior high and high school, I fell in love with that, and it was a goal of mine to do it. And so I'm working on my 6th novel now, and very much enjoy it. But because I base them all in history, it does involve a lot of research. And then,
I bet.
Yeah. So the fact that I have to do it for my column. Really, I get double duty out of the research. I can do it in my column, and then I can use some of it in my novels. So
that's awesome. So did you always want to write? Was that?
I can remember falling in love with the idea of being a writer when I read Little Women. You remember Little Women?
Oh, yeah.
The main character was Jo, and she wanted to be a writer. Well, my nickname at the time was Joni. When I was a little girl. I think I read Little Women when I was in 6th grade, something like that. And when I read Jo March's story, I decided I'm not going to be Joni anymore. I want to be Jo. And so I informed my family that they were to call me Jo from that point on. And it was Jo March, really, that Louisa May story that kind of put the idea of being a writer into my mind.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, that's something we grew up with. And, I honestly, that's very commendable because I don't know too many people that say, oh, that's what I want to do, but it's like any other art. I think that it's in your heart, it's in your soul, and that that's what you want to do. Right. And to be able to follow that dream and to be successful. And, Is that your livelihood? Is that what you do besides working for the paper? I mean, you're still writing, so
Right.
is that
Well, it's my livelihood, but it isn't a big
your
livelihood.
well, well, hopefully we'll get more of the word out, because we don't want it to be one of those where, okay, then you get famous after the fact, you know?
Right. I don't want to become famous after I'm dead. Right.
Well,
I
but
keep hoping the next novel is going to be the one that becomes the bestseller.
yes, we need
hasn't
to get you
happened.
on that bestseller list. That's what we need to do. So everybody go out and buy her books, and yeah. Well, or make some movies. We need some Oklahoma movies. That's what we need.
We do. And so many people have told me, oh, your novels would make a great Hallmark movie. So I keep waiting for Hallmark to call. They haven't done it yet.
Ah, well, we might have to work on that.
Yeah.
We may have to start working on that, Jonita. So what's next for you? What do you have, another book in mind? Do you have a
I am doing the preliminary research. I've started outlining and even writing some of the first chapters. The working title is going to be The Tearful Trail. So you of course know what that's about. I'm going to be talking about the Choctaw migration, and then more of the Cherokee migration and Creek migration. So that was all happening from about 1832 to 1838. So as I'm sure you're aware of, Selina, knowing the history of Oklahoma, the Indian Removal Act of 1830 precipitated all of the 5 tribes being forced to move out here. So that's what I'll be dealing with a lot in this particular book. Is prior to this time, only the Creeks really had come as a result of a removal treaty. The
yeah.
Cherokees had been moving out here kind of on their own for a number of years, and some Creeks as well, and some Choctaws as well. But after the 1830 Indian Removal Act, it really became a forced removal. And so I'm going to be dealing a lot with that, the fact that they were forced to come out here. It was no longer optional for them. They had to give up
Right.
their lands and come out. So I've run into some really wow, some interesting stories in my research about, what they endured to get out here. And so that's going to be a part of it. And I think the Tearful Trail is what I'll go with, but who knows? I might change it. I've got plenty of time to decide.
Right. Wow. Well, I apologize for the phone ringing. I'm actually at work and snuck off into one of the board meeting rooms so I could talk with you, but we didn't want to miss our Tuesday appointment here. So I just think that this is one of the projects that that we do for the Arts Council in Eufaula to help enrich the community with information, but also to help our artists, as yourself, like you said, that has been affected by the pandemic. And so there's not been as many festivals. I liked what you called it a while ago, an author event,
Right.
that to help promote your book.
Right. Right. And we call ourselves gig workers, I guess. Those of us who go to the art festivals and the craft shows. And I go to a lot of libraries and museums to talk, history and books and all of that. And they're all closed or
Yeah.
limited hours or not doing events. And so it's been challenging this past year for sure.
Yeah. Do you feel though that maybe it gave you a little bit more time to spend on just writing or researching? I mean,
Yes,
I'm
I
sure you.
probably didn't use it as well as I should. But yes, I have been able to devote more time to the research, and
Yeah.
when I'm not
Well,
struggling with bandwidth problems and internet problems, everybody being on the internet seems to have created its own set of troubles.
yes, that's true. That's true. I have not cleaned out as many closets as I said I would.
It's funny how we find ways to fill up the time with things that we really didn't intend to.
Mhm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
we
So
don't
tell
get
me
to,
what as far as now that the COVID is kind of calming down, what do you have planned as far as activities that you maybe, where people might be able to find your works?
Well, what I've been doing through the last few months is my history tours. And this is where I take a group of people. We all drive in our own cars. We call them a caravan tour. Everybody's safely in their own cars. We pack our own food so we don't stop anywhere in a restaurant to eat. And we go where history happened. And I draw upon my research and my novels. Just a couple of weeks, or last Saturday, in fact, I took a group that went out to visit some of the missions that I write about in my first novel series. And so I go and I took about 8 people out with me, and we visited these various sites where something interesting happened, where someone perhaps is buried. We go to cemeteries sometimes, and just different places around the area that have some really unique history. And that's one way that I keep connected with my readers, is to offer some tours like that. I hope to be doing more of that in the spring when it gets a little warmer, and maybe something else can grow from that.
That sounds like fun.
We
need to organize something like that.
They are a lot of fun. If anybody is interested, I list them. I put them on my website, okieheritage.com, so you can check that and see what's coming up. I do a monthly newsletter. It's an e-newsletter that I send out to readers and fans, and people can sign up for my newsletter on my website.
Something else can grow from that.
That sounds like fun. We need to organize something like that.
They're a lot of fun. If anybody is interested, I list them. I put them on my website, okieheritage.com, so you can check that and see what's coming up. I do a monthly newsletter. It's an e-newsletter that I send out to readers and fans, and people can sign up for my newsletter on my website. Something else can grow from that.
I do not know why we're getting that feedback.
Something like that. They're a lot of fun. If anybody is interested, I list them. I put them on my website, okieheritage.com, so you can check that and see what's coming up. I do a monthly newsletter. It's an e-newsletter that I send out to.
Okay. Are we still there? Are you there, Jonita?
I think so. That was very strange.
That was
we were
weird.
like on repeat. We're just going.
Yeah. That's funny. So, well, and then we've got phones. Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to wrap this up. I do have a question that I often ask my artists on every show, and that is, what is art to you? I mean, we look at all the different types of art, mediums of art, and writing is definitely an art. Mm-hmm. But what to you, what is art to you?
Art is a form of self-expression. To me, it is the way you can put yourself on paper, on canvas, on any number of different mediums. It's a way for you to just express yourself, express who you are and what you think is important in life and what you wanted to share with other people.
That's awesome. So if we had students or somebody that was interested in becoming an author, or maybe they have been writing some things, and just never thought, okay, they could do a book with it or whatever. What kind of advice would you give them?
Generally, what I give people who are aspiring to write is make a habit of it, write every day. Hone your craft, do a lot of reading, because I think the best way to become a good writer is to read other good writers and learn from them. I find that most writers are readers first. They fall in love with the word and they learn the craft from reading. And so if you don't do a lot of reading, but you want to be a writer, I say you need to change that habit. You need to become a reader. Pick out the genre that you like and study it and see what other people are doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you know, when we get done with this pandemic, you're going to have to come down and see us. And I know that we've got, hopefully there's some things going on in Eufaula. They have plans of having the arts festival. And I know I've heard that they're still going to do like ho hog and this and that. So maybe with all the things that's happening right now, vaccines and whatnot, we'll be able to have you back down in Eufaula and maybe have you down in the studio and do another interview. We can catch up on your books.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us. Yes, and apologize again for all the technical difficulties we had today, but it's always great visiting with you, and I can't wait to read your book.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.